Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, well that was a nice little break. My video that went up Monday morning had no audio attached to it. What happens is I have a Yeti microphone that I have attached to my laptop. And Michelle was vacuuming upstairs, so I took my laptop downstairs and I unplugged the accessories like my microphone. Well, this microphone, as a default, when you unplug it and plug it back in, it goes to the mute setting. Now, I don't normally unplug my microphone. It's probably been several months since I've moved my laptop. So it didn't, it's not, I forgot to check to make sure that the microphone was unmuted. So that's why the Monday reading was a fail. Last night, I have a massage therapy appointment that I do on Mondays, and it was an hour later than normal. And by the time I got home, I was tired, and Michelle and I are looking to purchase a used vehicle for ourselves, which we did this morning, actually. And so we were talking about it last night, going over the pros and cons of this decision and doing it now, and the car that we will be selling to accommodate all this. So, just a lot of sort of emotional and heavy decisions, and I was just done. So I went to bed last night, no video. And now you get a video now at a little before 4 o'clock. I took the day off work. I took the morning off because we were going to the car dealership to negotiate the price and sign all the paperwork. And then I had to return a loaner car that I had. And by the time I finally settled down, it's 4 in the afternoon. I ended up taking the full day off of work to accommodate all this. So here we are. Glad we could be back. When I had my body work done, my massage therapist, her name was Shauna, she was telling me that some of her clients are actually watching the show. So for Shauna's clients, hey, how you doing? Shauna will probably be on my show very soon. Whether it's the Twin Tarot or this one remains to be seen. It'll probably be this one. I'll do a live with her, most likely. Shauna's got a really interesting story. I met her about 10 years ago, or over 10 years ago, when she and her husband, Nicola, were in the Bay Area. This was at an IANS meeting. She had an NDE when she was a teenager. She was in a car accident. So her NDE story is fascinating, and the gifts that she had were really awakened by them. So she'll be a very interesting person to talk to. And she also does work over the phone with people, so on and so forth. So I'll have her on. She's a bit active on TikTok right now under Shauna Ristic. I'll leave something in the description if you want to take a look. All right, so what to read on? Mike Johnson annoys the hell out of me, and I don't want to read on him because he's just too annoying, even though I've got 2 stories queued up. The one I do want to read on here is that the CEO of GoFundMe is out here saying that the economy is so bad that more of his customers are crowdfunding just to pay for their groceries. The article in Yahoo says GoFundMe CEO just said the quiet part out loud. In this economy, more Americans are crowdfunding groceries to get by. He said that this economy is so challenged that more Americans are raising money to buy food, an arresting data point that captures the widening gap between household budgets and basic needs. Basic things need to get by through life have gone up significantly in the last 3 years in practically all of our markets. This was by Tim Cadigan. The evolution underscores the new economic reality for many Americans: persistent inflation, higher borrowing costs, thin financial cushions that are forcing many households to triage bills, juggle debt, and seek help in new ways. This CEO's observation that more people are asking strangers to pay for staples marks a sobering turn for a platform historically associated with medical bills, disaster relief, and community projects. Remember, Donald Trump was going to lower inflation on the first day. It was going to go away. He was going to magically fix everything. And egg prices and food prices are still high. And they're not going down. And these tariffs are doing nothing to help. And now he wants to take money he's raised from tariffs to bail out the farmers who are harmed by the tariffs. You could have just not had the tariffs in place and just let them sell their crops on the market, and we wouldn't have to go through this. But, hey, what do I know? I'm just a scientist. I'm not a certified genius like Donald Trump, who knows more about everything than anybody ever. I'm just a simpleton. So I want to look at the energy of the U.S. economy and how people are struggling with it right now. Okay. Again, this is, for entertainment purposes only. Come on down. Let's take a look. Let's look at how people in the U.S. are dealing, especially with food. How people in the U.S. are especially dealing with food, given the challenges in this economy. The double card sort of flips up and tells you everything you need to know. People are struggling. This is hard, and is it moral and ethic changing? Possibly. What do we got? Five of Swords. It's basically a case of the haves and the have-nots. This is kind of to me, it's the erosion of the middle class such that you don't have a buffer in the middle. You've got people who are poor and people who have everything. And the folks in the middle, they're being depleted. And also, if you're asking how people are coping with food, you've got tough decisions to make because it's like all your money, you don't have enough money to go around for these three problems. So this problem doesn't get paid at all. This problem maybe gets the minimum payment every other month. And then this problem is you just surviving. This is the survival part of you. This is the stuff I need to keep working and keep up with society. And these are all the luxury items. This is the 2-ply toilet paper, And it's crossed by judgment. There's a feeling of an uprising here. That people are waking up to this. You can't keep having the oligarchs have everything that they want. The middle class is being diminished, and then a bunch of poor people who are disenfranchised. Eventually, these people will unite against this one person. This is basically what happened in France a few hundred years ago. It's not the Civil War, it was the Revolutionary War, and the current administration, the oligarchs that back it, the tech bros, some of them understand it, a lot of them don't care. They don't think it's going to happen to them, or they just don't know. For pretty much all of them, you're being really, really short-sighted. Having a healthy, robust middle class and people who are at the bottom of the economic rungs, you want them to be well-fed, have health care, education, and hopes and dreams. Not because that's the way life should be for everybody, but if they have hopes and dreams, they won't be hopeless and desperate. And after a while, the hopeless and desperate people, they don't care what their actions are towards those people who they resent, who have everything. Just saying. Underneath all is the Three of Coins. This is the economy going dark. And, people might be working behind the scenes to keep the economy going. But for the person on Main Street, they're not seeing it. People can go collectively together. They go to churches and things along those lines. Do GoFundMes to raise money. But here's the thing. If everybody's doing a GoFundMe to raise money, after a while, those GoFundMes aren't going to work. In the past, you got the King of Pentacles. This is, to me, the wealth getting wealthier. This is Reaganomics, voodoo economics, as George H.W. Bush called it. Going back to the 1980s with the changes in the tax codes and deregulation, it allowed wealthy people to get extremely wealthy. And this was the decline of the middle class. happened in our lifetimes. Current situation is the Magician card. So now people are trying to be creative to find ways to feed themselves. All options are on the table. You're working, you have a second job, you have a side hustle, you go on GoFundMes, anything you can do to scramble together income streams to keep going forward. But this can also be, on the low energy, the illusion of the United States being an equal country, that if you work hard... I'm starting to sound very much like Dr. Lena here at this point. Because I think she would say, this is the illusion of the United States. The go out, get educated, work hard, get your... You'll get married, have a house with a white picket fence, 2.2 children, a dog, and a station wagon in the driveway. It's a myth now. What the baby boomer generation had, and I would certainly say the early Gen X generations had, was some semblance of that. For later Gen X, millennials, Gen Zs, they don't have this. Just the ratios of income to house payments. I was looking it up the other day. The ballpark 1970, and I don't know how accurate it is. It's a a Google search, but the average house was like I think it was 3 times somebody's annual salary. It's like if the I would say annual salary, or the average annual salary or household income in the U.S. in 1970 was $7,000, and the average home price was $21,000. Okay, now like the average income for an American family is like say it's $60,000, but the home prices are $600,000. So instead of being 3 times your income, it's actually was, I think when I did the math, it was more like 11 to 12 times your income. So picture, if you will, back in 1970 with your $7,000 income, houses weren't $21,000, which is 3 times. They're $120,000. You had to go to the really wealthy areas to buy houses like that and stretch yourself. That's what kids today are facing. Overarching energy is the 9 of Cups. Again, we got the haves and the have-nots. For the people that are well off, life is great. They can do anything they want. They can buy anything they want. They're wanting for nothing. And as this economy starts going dark and businesses fail and properties get liquidated, these folks right here are waiting for this opportunity to snap it all up. The story goes about the farmer. Farmers may lose their farms, but the person like J.D. Vance that comes in with his company and buys it up, that farmer could be contracted to work their old lands as basically hired hands. The lesson to be learned is the 9 of Swords. People are really suffering with this. They're doing everything they can to make ends meet, but there's no satisfaction here. Their hopes, wishes, and dreams aren't the suburban house with the station wagon and the picket fence and the dog. It's like, can I get through and pay all my bills this month and not have my car repossessed? There's a lot of stress and anxiety in the collective with this. Outcome is the 7 of Coins. So now the people really have to they have to evaluate what they do with their money. Pinching pennies doesn't quite say it all. What this really tells me is they need financial help. And again, that's what the CEO of GoFundMe is telling me. It's like, people are asking for financial help. Normally, this is where entities like the federal government, state governments, local governments step in to help their citizenry, deal with basic needs. I mean, this is one of the, if not the wealthiest country in the world. And we are suffering mightily with problems like this. Food insecurity, so on and so forth. Now, some of this also, sorry, this is not very much tarot reading, a whole lot of soapboxing, is poor spending habits, lack of investment, spending money on more instant gratification, advertising about expensive vehicles, expensive items, expensive vacations. And sometimes what happens with people is when they're so far in debt, they have no problem going more in debt because they know they're never going to crawl out of it. So that Nine of Cups is the hopes of ever getting out of crushing debt are they're non-existent. This just has such similar vibes to 2008 to me. It really has a similar feeling to it. Three of Wands just popped up. Kind of like, 2008 is right around the corner. Just really feeling it here. What's next for the citizenry in the United States? It's probably worldwide too, but we're going to focus on the U.S. here. What's next for the citizenry in the United States? Okay, got the Magician card again and the World card. And the Ten of Cups. The man trying to, it's almost like I was just mentioning, I was saying the United States is not the world, but the world's involved in this. There has to be some type of creative solution, not for just the United States, but for the world, to try and bring people back to an area where their basic needs are being met. The current system isn't working with the Three of Swords, the heartbreak and betrayal. There has to be some type of justice throughout the world, not just the United States, but throughout the world, to level the playing field, giving people a chance. It's going to take people in power to take action. So there has to be a collective, universal, worldwide effort to address this. It's kind of like the think global, act local a slogan, something like that. As we learn the Two of Coins. There's got to be control and regulation of the money. Right now, money is not being regulated properly. It's out of control. And it's causing economies to be topsy-turvy because of greed. Outcome is Knight of Wands. So a plan needs to come together in order to do this. Now, that seems all nice pie in the sky type stuff. Pie in the sky. I don't think we're anywhere close to that yet. Does anybody feel like we're close to that yet? I mean, if there's a global economic collapse, that can be the impetus to start a process like that. But it just seems like greed is such an ingrained energy in this country and with people. I don't know how you overcome it. How do you overcome this kind of institutionalized, codified greed in countries, but especially the United States? It got there was a crypto crash right after Trump announced his tariffs, and apparently some company came online, shorted certain crypto coins tremendously. Trump announced his announcement. The market crashed on those crypto coins, and then that same entity covered their shorts and then bought a bunch of stuff. So there just appears to be all sorts of market manipulation, especially involving crypto. It's making wealthy people extremely wealthy, and it's screwing over average people. How do we resolve this? What is it? How does this get resolved? Four of Cups. How do we get this greed, this corporate greed, or not corporate greed, not only just corporate greed, but just greed in the United States? How do we address it so we can move past and help people. Four of Cups. This is kind of meditation and enjoying all the things in front of you, but it's also the card of dissatisfaction. There's got to be a dissatisfaction. You can't just, the energy has to change. You can't just accept what's being handed to you. You have to demand something different. So it's going to have to start with the people. Four of Coins. Holding on to your money, holding on to your values, holding on to your health. It has to involve people demanding, these are cards that are just before the transformation, demanding that their education, their health care be covered, and other items. It's literally talking with your money. I was musing people not paying their taxes. Government's going to come, pay your mortgage, don't pay your taxes. All of a sudden, government's going to come to a grinding halt, and that's going to scare really wealthy people. King of Swords. Yeah, I mean, literally, you got to not accept it. You've got to be brutal and clear and uncompromising with this, and you have to be okay with tearing it all down. In some ways, Donald Trump, and I hate to say this, he is tearing everything down. He's going to collapse the economy in the United States. He's collapsing all sorts of things that we've got going on, all sorts of norms we've got going on here. Underneath it all, but you have to reject what's being offered to you, but you have to do it with integrity. You have to understand that you get good things and bad things, and that's just the way it is. But it doesn't matter what class you're in, what socioeconomic class you're in. So you have to not only do things that are best for you, but you have to look out for other people too. But here's the key card, the King of Swords. You have to be uncompromising. You speak with your wallet, and you have to be willing to tear down things that no longer serve. It's going to be a rough patch. Thank you, everybody, for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. This time with sound. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, but I hope you found it insightful, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.